In the race between Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, one thing is certain. One candidate will become the Democratic Party's nominee, and one will not. The big question for the party of FDR and Kennedy is how the candidates will reconcile, assuming they can. Newsweek looks at historic inter-party presidential battles to offer the Dems a few do's and don'ts. In the radically divisive era of antebellum politics, Abraham Lincoln captured the Republican Party's nomination only after 3 ballots were taken at the 1860 Chicago Convention. His rivals included New York's William Seward and Ohio's Salmon Portland Chase. When Honest Abe became President Abe, he chose his former opponents to join his cabinet as a measure of goodwill. Chase was appointed Abe's Treasury Secretary. Ex-frontrunner Seward became Lincoln's Secretary of State, and after frequent meetings at the White House, his fast friend. Presidential primaries were brand balloting new in 1912, and of the few held that year, Republican Theodore Roosevelt won a majority compared to William Howard Taft. Still, Taft got the earlier start in courting convention delegates and won the nomination in Chicago. In response, Roosevelt stormed out of the assembly and formed the Progressive Party. The testy Teddy bull-moosed his way to revenge that year, scoring more electoral votes than Taft in the general election. But he also helped hand Democrat Woodrow Wilson the presidency. In 1952, a fresh face to presidential politics took on a political dynasty. General Dwight D Eisenhower competed in an extremely close primary race with Robert Taft, the son of former President William Howard Taft. The two candidates trekked to the Chicago Convention, the first to be televised, each with 5 primary wins in their political back pockets. Pundits declared the race a dead heat, but Eisenhower won the nomination after the first ballot. Afterwards, the general personally went to Taft's hotel suite to declare his good intentions. "I hope we can work together," he said. They could. As a majority leader in the Senate, Taft and Eisenhower formed a strong bond. Lyndon B Johnson entered the 1960 presidential race 1 week before the Democratic Convention, bypassing primaries in which John F. Kennedy had worked hard to beat Hubert Humphrey. Through Kennedy clan maneuvering, the youthful Massachusetts senator won the presidential nomination after the first ballot. But in a surprise move, Kennedy offered Johnson his VP spot. The Texan readily accepted. Ultimately, LBJ would campaign aggressively for JFK and help carry several southern states. Camelot was soon born. Looking to modern-day primary politics, though since 1968, neither Gerald Ford nor Ronald Reagan had wrapped up enough delegates to carry the Republican nomination in 1976, at the Kansas convention, Reagan tried to woo moderates by making Richard Schweiker his running mate, angering conservatives. They chose not to give one to the Gipper, handing the nomination to Ford instead. Graciously, the incumbent president asked Reagan to speak after his acceptance speech. The famous actor complied, giving a delegate-pleasing address, but one that arguably overshadowed Ford's.